Literal addiction.
I seen someone say this the other day, but I think he said it best. Having a fragrance, perfume, cologne addiction is way worse than having a sneaker addiction.
Do not fall for the Klarna, the Afterpay. Like, do not fall for all that, the finance and apps, bro.
Today I thought I would do something a little bit different to what I've talked about in the past, and we are covering the topic of fragrance addiction, which in my opinion is a very real thing in the community, whether that's a shopping style of addiction or literally a perfume addiction. You know, we're going to go through a lot of different videos of people explaining their own experiences with this and maybe how they've overcome it or how they've come to the realization that they might have a fragrance addiction. So if you guys are interested, please like and subscribe. It massively helps with the channel, and we'll just jump straight into it. Before we do, actually, I kind of wanted to preface my own thoughts around fragrance addiction, because at some point in my life I would say I was very obsessed with fragrances. Now, would that be classed as an addiction? I'm not entirely sure. I didn't have an addiction to the point where I was in debt, you know, for various different fragrances. I wouldn't say that, you know, it massively impacted me in a negative way. I still was a little bit more conscious around still needing money for other things. I don't think, you know, it became that extreme. But did I become obsessive? 100%. I think I have naturally that style of personality anyway. If there's a topic that I'm really interested about, I become fixated, obsessive. I will just be searching, scrolling for an eternity, really, just finding the answers to my questions and honestly just trying to be as knowledgeable as possible. And that's kind of not just in fragrances alone, in a lot of hobbies that I really enjoy. I just become really obsessive. So that's just the way I am. I know some people aren't like that, so of course everyone has different versions of what they would class as obsessive or as addictive. So yeah, we'll just jump into it and we'll see these people's experiences.
One thing I've been thinking about lately is just like this fragrance thing is like an actual addiction. It's a literal addiction. Like, and I know we don't think about it that way, we don't term it that way, we don't phrase it that way sometimes, but this hobby, right? We call it a hobby. We call it our safe space. And I think those things are true, right? Like, I'm not saying those things aren't true. Those things are true. But I think it's also it's a secret addiction. It's a sneaky addiction, right? Like, I'm gonna be honest, like I took a step back for a little bit from like buying things because I wanted to appreciate my collection, right? I wanted to appreciate what I had in my collection. And I also, like, I don't like that feeling of just like being pulled towards something, right? Like, yo, like it got to a point, right? And I know a lot of you all can relate, right? Every day you are spending countless hours just scrolling on your phone, looking at new fragrances, putting things in your cart, watching fragrance videos or whatever, right? Like on different forums and different pages, right? Whether it's Facebook, Reddit, you name it. But it's like every single day. Sometimes literally I can attest, like myself, there's been moments, it's the first thing I did when I woke up in the morning. Like I'm looking at a fragrance. And it's like, yo, I ain't even talked to God yet. Like I ain't even said my prayers. And I'm scrolling, looking at a fragrance that I'm about to buy, prowling for my next blind buy. Like, and it got to a point, I'm like, no, this is unhealthy, right? Like, it's unhealthy. And I think this is one of the signs that you're in unhealthy territory, when it's literally consuming your thought pattern. Like, it's literally consuming your mind, right? At least for me, because again, I don't like the feeling of being addicted to something. And if anyone has been addicted to something before, right? And I'll be transparent, I have. I don't like that feeling. Like, you don't like that feeling of feeling like you're being pulled towards something again, like you have no choice but to yield to it. It's like, it's a feeling like you just like, no, I kind of resist that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a conversation that we may need to like maybe have a little bit. Just something to keep in mind. Like this can be an addiction.
I've never seen him before, so this was a little bit eye-opening to me because he raised some really good points, and it's kind of that overwhelming feeling of like your body and your mind being controlled by this urge to constantly be looking at different fragrances, buying different fragrances, talking about fragrances, and inevitably it just becomes subconscious that you're just constantly looking at it and it's consuming your life, which is exactly what he mentioned. And I think that's the danger with anything in life, with any type of addiction, is that overwhelming consumption of your very existence. And it's like, I didn't mean to laugh because I know it might not be funny to other people, but it's like what he mentioned with not even speaking to God first thing, like not even fully being awake yet, but already your mind is taking over and thinking about fragrances. That to me is a really big red flag and a warning sign, maybe just to reel things back a little bit. And also we're going to look at obviously the financial impacts of this, and I don't think it's necessarily always a financial issue. I think also it can make you depressed. You know, you can overthink things, overdo things, like what he was mentioning, even the blind buying, that in of itself is a dopamine hit. Every single time you are purchasing a new fragrance and you're waiting to receive that fragrance, you're at the doorstep looking for the mailman ready to deliver your parcels. That's kind of the entirety of your day is focused on that, and I don't think it's healthy. But he raised a good point that a lot of people are in that boat, but they just don't want to admit it. So really liked his video. We'll leave his details below, so give him a follow or give him a like.
I seen someone say this the other day, but I think he said it best. Having a fragrance, perfume, cologne addiction is way worse than having a sneaker addiction, bro. I'm sorry. Bro, every time you smell something good, you gotta buy it. Day one. The sneakers. I love smelling good.
Yeah, I know that a lot of guys, they have a really big trainer addiction. I know in the US you guys call it sneakers, in the UK we call it trainers. And to actually tell a lie, also other women have the same shopping addiction. And I think what that boils down to inevitably is this impulsivity complex where you cannot say no to yourself in that situation, like what he said about smelling it and you just need it. You don't need it. This is where you need to kind of unwire all of the thought patterns you're having in that moment and realize, do I actually really need this fragrance? And that's something that I struggled with. When I first initially got into fragrances, anytime that I smelled something, I thought I need it. And if I don't have it, then I'll feel incomplete. Whereas we need to unwire all of that. We need to reel it back a little bit and stop our thoughts in that track. So just say to ourselves, this is an impulsive thought. We love the fragrance, we love the smell of it, but do we need it right now, right here? Right here, right now? I don't think we do. And I don't think it's even a fragrance issue, like what he said about the sneakers. Whenever you want something, you feel like you need it. And I think that's also a reflection of our society. Everything needs to be impulsively had then and there, when that shouldn't be the case in the first place. So anyway, we'll watch a few more.
Are you one of the many perfume collectors who also navigates ADHD hyperfixation or a tendency to use shopping to cope with emotions? My name is Lindsay. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I'm also someone who navigates ADHD hyperfixation when it comes to my perfume collection. And I'm also someone who's continuously trying to build a healthier relationship to shopping. How perfume collecting and ADHD hyperfixation and shopping addiction can all go hand in hand is that as collectors, we're continuously looking for the next item we want to add to our collection. And that process of seeking out a novel item, the anticipation of buying it and then actually buying it, releases powerful feel-good neurochemicals in the brain, including dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and even the body's painkiller endorphins. So if you have ADHD, you know that there's a powerful association with dopamine. Dopamine is also the reason why we get what's called shopper's high, because dopamine is associated with the anticipation of a reward. And that is the feeling we get before we buy a new perfume or a new addition to our collection or anything else that we want. And it's highly associated with our reward system, because when the brain feels good, when we feel good, our brain is going to want to have us keep doing that same behavior over and over and over again. And so we learn that if we want to feel good, well, we'll just go shop. We just go buy a new item. We go add another perfume to our collection. And while there's nothing wrong with that in moderation, it's when that pattern creates financial problems in your life. If it creates debt, if it prevents you from saving the way you want to save, if it's adding stress and anxiety to your life rather than joy, now our perfume collecting is becoming problematic for us. So, how do we navigate this? Well, there are several important ways. And I want to first begin by talking about how important it is for us as a community on social media of perfume collectors to celebrate and normalize the different ways that people collect perfume and fragrance. The large collections of stunning bottles of perfume are amazing. And yes, the perfume bottles are a part of the artistry of perfume. And I completely understand that sometimes it just doesn't feel as fulfilling when you're not able to purchase the whole bottle, because the bottle is a part of the experience. And it can be hard to see influencers on TikTok and other social media who have these gorgeous 100-bottle collections or more of these stunning bottles of perfume. And many of them will acknowledge that thankfully they didn't have to pay for those. Those were gifted
Now,
to them.
I just want to stop it there. Otherwise, I know that we'll be here forever. I think her video was roughly 8 minutes, 30 seconds, which is a fairly long video for TikTok anyway. But I did really like her stance on it. Now, I didn't really see it from a perspective of ADHD. I'm not a psychotherapist, so of course I don't know, half of the things that she will know, fundamentally the psychology behind shopping addiction and that, side of things. I do have people close to me who have, bouts of ADHD who probably have ADHD but are not diagnosed. Now, that's not necessarily to say that everyone will fall into this category if they have ADHD, for all we know, and not everyone has ADHD, but people are still addicted to buying fragrances. Now, I do really support her in the sense that it does cause a lot of financial stress. It will make people go into debt and will cause maybe further anxiety and stress to their lives. Not all the time, but if you are quite literally addicted to buying fragrances, this can definitely be a circumstance that you place yourself into. I remember years ago when I first joined YouTube, actually even before that, there was a lady who was on YouTube, bless her, I can't remember her name and I can't remember her channel name, and she was a really big perfume collector. She had hundreds of bottles, all very different price ranges, but essentially her full room was just a closet for her fragrances. And she was explaining that she was in tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt because of these fragrances. Not only that, but she couldn't even afford the smallest of things, like I think her blinds, like her curtains were playing up and she couldn't afford to do that. So that's just adding extra stress into your life when you could have not impulsively purchased that fragrance and would have had more money to begin with, if you see what I mean. So it's just this constant cycle, and I don't think fragrances are the only thing. It's a shopping addiction. Another great point that she made was the fact that we need to celebrate different styles of collections, and not only do we need to do that, but we also need to remember that a lot of these content creators will have been sent fragrances. That's just the reality of content creation. A lot of houses will want to endorse their products and they will use these creators to do so. In my circumstance, I'm a little bit different. I kind of pick and choose who I want to work with. I get sent emails from various dupe brands, Middle Eastern brands, but not the genuine Middle Eastern brands, if you know what I mean. There are some incredible Middle Eastern brands out there which are unique and are not dupes. We need to make that distinction. And when I get these emails and things, I just think to myself, how many influencers are actually taking on this work? And especially on the likes of TikTok Shop, you've got a lot of people, it's almost like a QVC honestly nowadays, TikTok Shop, and a lot of people blind buy, a lot of people impulsively purchase these fragrances. So this is just one thing to keep an eye on. Just make your own conscious decision. Does this person actually like this fragrance, or do they not? Or have they just been sent it? Now, just because they've been sent it, it also doesn't mean that they dislike the fragrance, but Will they actually wear it day to day? We don't know. I always go by I know or I definitely want to wear it day in, day out. So anyway, we'll just jump into the next video.
Do you know one struggle that nobody really talks about? Owning a large fragrance collection. To me, a definition of a big or large fragrance collection is anything more than 10 fragrances. Even 8, you don't actually need that many, but let's say 10 fragrances. Because, you know, some people might look at your collection and be like, oh yeah, like I want that goals, but it's not all glitz and glam. What do you mean I'm spending 10, 15 minutes there in my collection? Because I don't know what to wear today. I don't know what I'm trying to give today, what feeling I'm trying to exude today, you know, what vibe I'm trying to go off today. What do you mean? Because I'm spoiled for choice? Huh? What do you mean none of the bottles are going down? I've been using them. I need to hurry up and use them because I need to use more. There's not enough occasions or enough outings to use all these fragrances. Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean those that don't understand fragrances don't understand that the fragrance I'm wearing, you know, smells like blah, 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 because they don't get it. They don't get why I would even like a fragrance from this house because, you know, it smells a certain way. In fact, let's even talk about, they don't even understand why I've spent X amount of money or why I'm even buying a new fragrance. Even though I haven't finished anything that's even on my shelf. They don't get it. And they think it's easy. They think, you know, owning such a collection is easy. Huh? Have you ever tried to be the best smelling person in the room, but you're so overwhelmed and spoiled by choice, you don't even know what to pick? And you end up even mixing some things that are too strong, that shouldn't work together, and now you smell like a walking... Now you smell too strong. And you're outside, you can't do nothing about it. You just got to run through your day. Huh? What do you mean someone asks you what's your signature scent and you don't know what your signature scent is? You can't even give them one. What fragrance have you worn the most this month? You can't even give them one. You don't even remember. Huh? The struggles, man.
He is too funny. Like, literally every video that he does just tickles me. If you guys don't know him, The Average Nose on TikTok. When I actually first joined TikTok, he was one of the I was gonna say channels. This isn't YouTube, Pika. What is wrong with you? He was one of the people that I was watching quite a lot, and he's just amazing. I love him so much. And yeah, it's just one of those things that people don't understand, right? Like, whenever you are that deep into an obsession, even an addiction for some of you guys, you know, not every day are you going to be explaining to people, actually, I spent 15 minutes just staring at my collection, not knowing what fragrance to wear that day. And it's like what he was saying as well, like, especially when you've got really important occasions coming up, you're always overanalyzing, overthinking. Oh, should I wear this really special fragrance? This one's like a limited edition. This one's even discontinued. Maybe I can layer the two. And then it just becomes a disaster because you were overthinking it. And, you know, I think a lot of the times fragrance addiction can also boil down to that. I know he's also talked about fragrance addiction before as well. And, you know, it's just something we need to highlight because it's a very first world problem. Let's be completely honest here. And the fact is, like, a lot of us can afford to do this and choose to spend our money, but there needs to be a line drawn when you have to say, actually, you know, I am not willing to spend that much more money on adding fragrances after fragrances to my collection when I'm already struggling as it is. So yeah, I love the way that he does his videos. I find him really funny. He's just very like blasé, and yeah, it's just one of those things where we need to remind ourselves, okay, what are we actually prioritizing in our lives?
Do not fall for the Klarna, the Afterpay. Like, do not fall for all that, the financing apps, bro. If you cannot afford the bottle, just get a decant. Because all those little transactions are going to add up, bro.
I didn't realize how bad my addiction had gotten until this weekend. I went away on a girls' trip and I could only talk about Perfume. I could only talk about deals on Perfume. I was like that meme of the Mean Girls where she talks about Regina George all the time. Like, that was me, and I think it's an actual addiction, and it might be a serious problem that I need to kind of think about. I know all my friends on here get it because we're all crazy and we're all doing the same thing and it's such an obsession. But like when you get into the real world and all you can think about is, oh, what are you smelling like? What are they smelling like? What are the things that you've tried? Did you get a good deal on this? I mean, that's me. I'm a deal girl. But it was kind of embarrassing. And I was meeting new people for the first time and reflecting back on the trip, I'm like, wait, they probably think I'm a psycho. And I am, and I get that. But it's kind of weird. So living in the real world, not living in TikTok or Facebook scent groups, I think it's time for me to take a cold, hard look in the mirror.
Right, so we have a couple of videos there. The first guy, he was talking about the fact that financing fragrances can be very dangerous, and I 100,000,000% agree with him. I think Afterpay, Klarna in the UK, we even have, I think, ClearPay and a couple of other ones. They are a trap. You are robbing yourself from your future self, thinking that you can afford this, you know, a month's time. You can't. You haven't even budgeted your current month, let alone your next month. So it's just things like that that people become quite forgetful that how things can pile up. There's also a misconception that you don't pay interest on Klarna. Now that's 90% of the time, but if you're missing payments, they will come after you. 100%. I think there's that misconception that, you know, it's basically like free money and that you're not paying interest. That's not always the case. If you're using it really frequently, if you've missed payments and if you've racked up a debt with them, they will come after you. And that's the same goes with your credit cards, you know, providers, Afterpay, ClearPay, all of these providers, they will definitely come after you and you will feel that burn for sure. And I wanted to follow up with that video that she had, just talking about, you know, when she's in social settings, speaking about fragrances can kind of like bring out her psycho mode, because we've all been there. I've been around girlfriends before where I'm explaining, oh my gosh, like this is, you know, the most unique fragrance you'll ever get. No one else has this. You have to buy it. You know, there's like a decent, there's like a 20% discount. You need to get it. And they just can't compute because they're probably thinking as well, who's this psycho talking about perfumes all the time? I am known as the perfume lady in all of my circles. Like all of my friends come to me about fragrances all the time. So I'm also honored about that, but it's also a scary reflection of how obsessive I have become about it, because even if my friends know this about me, there's something a little bit wrong there, isn't there? So anyway, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, please like, subscribe, and hype the video if you see that kind of icon down below. And yeah, I hope you guys have a brilliant weekend. Bye.